On the 30th of June, 1764, a girl called Jeanne Boulet took her sheep onto the high pasture near Langon. She was 14. It was the middle of the day. She did not come home. When the priest wrote her burial into the register, he did not write that a wolf killed her. He wrote that she was killed by the ferocious beast, not a beast, the beast, as though anyone reading it already knew which one he meant. That page still exists. Welcome to the Horror Hub. Today's monster, the Beast of Gevaudan. Gevaudan was a poor province high in the mountains of southern France. Everyone who could work was working, so the animals were watched by whoever could be spared, women, children, alone, miles from anyone, which is why the list of the dead reads as it does. The people who saw it and lived described the same animal over and over. Bigger than a wolf, the size of a calf, they kept saying, reddish-brown, a long narrow head more like a greyhound, a long tufted tail, and a thick black stripe down its back. It killed through the summer, the autumn, the winter, and the spring. One count from the parish registers gives 210 attacks and 113 dead. The priests wrote down what they found. In detail, I am not going to. On the 12th of January, 1765, it came at 8 children in a field near Versailles. The oldest was 12. His name was Jacques Portefaix. He did not run, and he would not let the others run. He got them into a tight ring, facing outwards, and they beat at it with sticks until it gave up and left. All 8 walked home. The king sent the boy 300 livres, 350 more for the rest, and paid for his schooling. Hold on to that. It is the last good thing anybody at Versailles does in this story. He sent 2 famous wolf hunters from Normandy who killed a great many wolves and never the right one. Then his own gun-bearer, François Antoine. On the 21st of September, 1765, Antoine shot an enormous wolf. Survivors were brought to look at it and said, yes, that is the animal. It was stuffed and put on show at Versailles, and fashionable France came to see the Beast of Gevaudan standing dead in a beautiful room. Antoine was rewarded. The papers said it was over. In December, it started again. Over the next year and a half, around 30 more people were killed, and officially, none of it was happening. The king's own man had shot the beast in front of witnesses, and admitting that meant looking ridiculous in every newspaper in Europe. So the court said nothing, and for 18 months those people walked out to their animals each morning, knowing what was in those hills. It ended on the 19th of June, 1767. A local nobleman organized one last hunt on Montmouchet, and a village man, Jean Chastel, shot a large animal. The killing stopped that day and never began again. They opened it up. There were human remains inside. And then they did something we are still paying for. They stood it on show at the nobleman's house for a fortnight in June before sending it to Paris. By the time it arrived, the fur was coming off it. The examination fell to the Comte de Buffon, the finest naturalist in Europe. He looked at what was left and called it an enormous wolf, nothing more. He may well have been right. He was also looking at something 6 weeks dead. Nobody kept it. It went into the garden of a private house in Paris, and nobody wrote down where. The diocese paid Chastel 72 livres. Paris never discussed it again. So what was it? Nearly every historian who has worked the records says wolves. Not a wolf, wolves. A pack, or several, where wolves and people lived close together, and a paleontologist who studied the animals actually killed there identified southern European wolves, reddish coat, black stripe down the spine. Almost word for word what those shepherds had said all along. But that is not the small version of this story. No monster was needed. Ordinary animals, in open daylight, killed around 100 people over 3 years, in the middle of the Enlightenment, while the King of France sent his best men twice and could not stop them. One last thing. You have heard that Chastel loaded his gun with a silver bullet cast from a blessed metal. It is the most famous detail in the story. It is not in the 18th century record anywhere. A novelist put it there in 1946. The registers are the different matter. They are still in the archive in Lozère, in the priest's own handwriting. Names, ages, villages, dates. Jean Boulet, 14, the 30th of June. We know exactly who died. We have never known what killed them.